Hare Krishna. So today we will read from the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 47, entitled Compassion and Anger. The Nectar of Devotion was written by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and it was published by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. The first section is called Compassion. When the ecstasy of devotional service produces some kind of lamentation in connection with Krishna, it is called devotional service in compassion. The impetuses for this devotional service are Krishna's transcendental quality, form, and activities. In this ecstasy of devotional service, there are sometimes symptoms like regret, heavy breathing, crying, falling on the ground, and beating upon one's chest. Sometimes symptoms like laziness, frustration, defamation, humility, anxiety, moroseness, eagerness, restlessness, madness, death, forgetfulness, disease, and illusion are all also visible. When in the heart of a devotee there is expectation of some mishap to Krishna, it is called devotional service in bereavement. Such bereavement is another symptom of this devotional service in compassion. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 16th chapter, verse 10, there is the following description. When Krishna was chastising the Kaliya Naga in the Yamuna, the big snake wrapped his coils all over Krishna's body. And upon seeing Krishna in this situation, all his dear cowherd friends became greatly disturbed. Out of bereavement, distress, and fear, they became bewildered and began to fall on the ground. Because the cowherd boys were under the illusion that Krishna could be in some mishap, their symptoms are not at all astonishing. They had dedicated their friendship, their possessions, their desires, and their very selves to Krishna. When Krishna entered the Yamuna river, which had become very poisonous from the presence of Kaliya, Mother Yashoda feared all kinds of mishaps, and she was breathing hotly. Tears from her eyes were soaking her clothes, and she was almost collapsing. Similarly, when the Sankasura demon was attacking Krishna's queens one after another, Lord Baladev became more and more bluish. In the Hansa Dutta, the following incident is described. The gopis requested Hansa Dutta to search after the marks of Krishna's lotus feet and to accept them as Lord Brahma had accepted them on his helmet after he had stolen all of Krishna's cowherd boys. Regretting his challenge to Krishna, Lord Brahma had bowed down before the Lord, and his helmet became marked with the footprints of Krishna. And the gopis reminded Hansa Dutta that sometimes even the great sage Narada becomes very ecstatic by seeing these footprints, and sometimes great liberated sages also aspire to see them. You should therefore seek very enthusiastically to find the footprints of Krishna, they urged. This is another instance of devotional service in compassion. There is an instance when Sahadev, the younger brother of Nakula, became greatly gladdened at seeing the effulgent glowing of Krishna's footprints. He began to cry and call out, quote, Mother Madri, where are you now? Father Pandu, where are you now? I am very sorry that you are not here to see these footprints of Krishna. End quote. This is another instance of devotional service in compassion. In devotional service, without strong attraction to the Lord, there may sometimes be smiling and other symptoms, but never the stress or lamentation that are symptoms of devotional service in compassion. The basic principle of this compassion is always ecstatic love. The apprehension of some mishap to Krishna or to his beloved queens, as exhibited by Baladev and Yudhisthira, has been explained above. The apprehension is due not exactly to their ignorance of the inconceivable potencies of Krishna, but to their intense love for him. This kind of apprehension of some mishap to Krishna first of all becomes manifested as an object of lamentation, but gradually it develops into such compassionate loving ecstasy that it turns to another channel and gives transcendental pleasure. Next section, anger. In ecstatic loving service to Krishna in anger, Krishna is always the object. In Vidagdha Madhava, Act 2, verse 37, Lalita Gopi expressed her anger, which was caused by Krishna when she addressed Srimati Radharani thus, quote, My dear friend, my inner desires have been polluted. Therefore I shall go to the place of Yamaraj. But I am sorry to see that Krishna has still not given up his smiling over cheating you. I do not know how you could repose all your loving propensities upon this lusty young boy from the neighborhood of the cowherds. End quote. After seeing Krishna, Jarati sometimes said, quote, O you thief of young girls' properties, I can distinctly see the covering garment of my daughter-in-law on your person. End quote. Then she cried out very loudly, addressing all the residents of Vrindavan, to inform them that this son of King Nanda was setting fire to the household life of his daughter-in-law. Similar ecstatic love for Krishna in anger was expressed by Rohini Devi when she heard the roaring sound of the two falling Arjuna trees to which Krishna had been tied. The whole neighborhood proceeded immediately toward the place where the accident had taken place, and Rohini Devi took the opportunity to rebuke Mother Yashoda as follows, quote, You may be very expert in giving lessons to your son by binding him with rope, but don't you look to see if your son is in a dangerous spot? The trees are falling on the ground and he is simply loitering there. End quote. This expression of Rohini Devi's anger toward Yashoda is an example of ecstatic love in anger caused by Krishna. Once, while Krishna was in the pasturing ground with his cowherd boys, his friends requested him to go to the Talavan forest, where Garda Basura, a disturbing demon in the shape of an ass, resided. The friends of Krishna wanted to eat the fruit from the forest trees, but they could not go there because of fear of the demon. Thus they requested Krishna to go there and kill Garda Basura. After Krishna did this, they all returned home. And their report of the day's activities perturbed Mother Yashoda because Krishna had been sent alone into such danger in the Talavan forest. Thus she looked upon the boys with anger. There is another instance of anger on the part of a friend of Radharani's. When Radharani was dissatisfied with the behavior of Krishna and had stopped talking with him, Krishna was very sorry for Radharani's great dissatisfaction, and in order to beg forgiveness, he fell down at her lotus feet. But even after this, Radharani was not satisfied, and she did not talk with Krishna. At that time, one of her friends chastised her in the following words, quote, "My dear friend, you are allowing yourself to be churned by the rod of dissatisfaction. So what can I say unto you? The only advice I can give you is that you had better leave this scene immediately, because your misbehavior is giving me too much pain. I cannot bear to see your behavior, because even though Krishna's peacock feather has touched your feet, you still appear to be red-faced." End quote. The above attitudes of dissatisfaction and anger in devotional service are called irshu. When Akrura was leaving Vrindavan, some of the elderly gopis rebuked him as follows, quote, "O son of Gandhini, your cruelty is defaming the dynasty of King Yadu. You are taking Krishna away, keeping us in such a pitiable condition without him. Now, even before you have left, the life air of all the gopis has practically disappeared." End quote. When Krishna was insulted by Shishupal in the assembly of the Rajasuya Yagya, convened by Maharaj Yudhisthira, there was a great turmoil among the Pandavas and the Kurus, involving grandfather Bhishma. At that time, Nakula said with great anger, quote, "Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the nails of his toes are beautified by the light emanating from the jeweled helmets of the authorities of the Vedas. If he is derided by anyone, I declare herewith as a Pandava that I will kick his helmet with my left foot, and I will strike him with my arrows, which are as good as the Yamadanda, the scepter of Yamaraj." End quote. This is an instance of ecstatic love for Krishna in anger. In such a transcendental angry mood, sometimes sarcastic remarks, unfavorable glances, and insulting words are exhibited. Sometimes there are other symptoms, like rubbing of the two hands, clacking of the teeth, clamping of the limbs, moving of the eyebrows, scratching of the arms, lowering of the head, rapid breathing, uttering of strong words, nodding of the head, yellowishness at the corners of the eyes, and trembling lips. Sometimes the eyes turn red, and sometimes they fade. And there are sometimes chastisement and silence. All these symptoms of anger may be divided into two parts, constitutional and unconstitutional, or permanent and temporary symptoms. Sometimes great emotion, bewilderment, pride, frustration, illusion, impotence, jealousy, dexterity, negligence, and signs of hard labor are also manifest as unconstitutional symptoms. In all these humors of ecstatic love, the feeling of anger is accepted as the steady factor. When Jarasandha angrily attacked the city of Mathura, He looked at Krishna with sarcastic glances. At that time, Baladev took up his plow weapon and gazed upon Jarasandha with colored eyes. This is a statement in the Vidagdha Madhava wherein Srimati Radharani, in an angry mood, addressed Purnamasi after she had accused Radharani of going to Krishna. Quote, "My dear mother," Radha declared, "what can I say to you? Krishna is so cruel that he often attacks me on the street, and if I want to cry out very loudly, this boy with a peacock feather on his head immediately covers my face so that I cannot cry. And if I want to go away from the scene because I am afraid of him, he will immediately spread his arms to block my path. If I piteously fall down at his feet, then this enemy of the Madhu demon, in an angry mood, bites my face. Mother, just try to understand my situation and don't be unnecessarily angry with me. Instead, please tell me how I can save myself from these terrible attacks by Krishna." End quote. Sometimes, among contemporary personalities, there are signs of ecstasy in anger because of love for Krishna. An example of such anger was exhibited in a quarrel between Jatila and Mukkara. Jatila was the mother-in-law of Radharani, and Mukkara was her great-grandmother. Both of them were talking about Krishna's unnecessary harassment of Radharani when she was walking in the street. Jatila said, quote, "You cruel-faced Mukkara, by hearing your words, my heart feels like it is burning in a fire." End quote. And Mukkara replied, quote, "You sinful Jatila, by hearing your words, there is aching in my head. You cannot give any evidence that Krishna has attacked Radharani, the daughter of my granddaughter Kirtida." End quote. Once, when Radharani was taking off the necklace given to her by Krishna, Jatila, her mother-in-law, told a friend, quote, "My dear friend, just see the beautiful necklace that Krishna has presented to Radharani. She is now holding it, but still she wants to tell us that she has no connection with Krishna. This girl's activities have disgraced our whole family." End quote. Natural jealousy of Krishna by persons like Shishupal cannot be accepted as ecstatic love in anger with Krishna. So this ends the reading of chapter 47 of the Nectar of Devotion, entitled Compassion and Anger. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.